Welcome back to Living in Elegance. Today we're going to talk about burnout. Burnout doesn't always arrive dramatically. Sometimes it shows up quietly in the small compromises, the ignored boundaries, the constant urgency. In this video, I'm going to share my journey through burnout and the elegant, intentional practices that help me rebuild my life from the inside out. If you're tired of the way sleep can't fix, and you're tired of moving from thing to thing and not remembering sometimes what you did, this video is for you. In this video, we're going to look at what burnout looked like in my life, the moment I realized something had to change, how elegance became a path to restoration, the small habits that brought peace back to my days, and the spiritual perspective on rebuilding with dignity. You can rebuild gently. You can choose beautiful again. You can choose yourself again. So welcome back to Living in Elegance. Today, we're going to talk about something that many of us experience but rarely name out loud, is burnout. Not the dramatic kind, but the quiet, creeping exhaustion that settles into your bones. The kind that makes you feel that you're living your life on a delay, always catching up, never arriving, and never feeling like you ever caught up. For a long time, I didn't realize that I was burned out. I just thought I needed to push harder, to be stronger, to carry more. But burnout has a way of revealing itself in the smallest moments, and that's what I experienced. I want to share what burnout looked like for me, not for sympathy, but for solidarity. Because if you're watching this, you might be carrying more than you're willing to admit. And I know that I was throughout my life. For me, burnout didn't arrive with a breakdown. I didn't have this emotional breakdown. I didn't cry. I didn't feel any particular way of resentment or anything like that. How it appeared to me was it arrived in the small compromises, the boundaries being ignored here, a need postponed there, a life lived in reaction instead of intention. I felt myself saying yes just out of habit to say yes instead of saying no to protect myself and what I needed to do. I became excellent at functioning, at performing, at showing up, at doing my job well. But I wasn't living. I was managing. I was literally going just from thing to thing to thing to thing and not really ever feeling like I was accomplishing much, even though I was completing my task list. My task lists were like almost a whole entire page, and sometimes I didn't get it all done. Sometimes I had to push it off to the next day, but I was just powering through. I felt like a machine whenever I was going through this. So there's a particular kind of exhaustion that comes from being responsible, capable, dependable. And I'm sure many of you feel that same way. I mean, if you're listening to this, you probably feel that same way, that you're always the responsible one, you're always planning, you're always capable. And as women, we tend to take on a lot of that. People rely on you. You hold things together. You hold together your house. You hold together your job. You hold together things that surround you. You do all the planning. You do the problem solving before they become problems. And slowly, without noticing, you begin to disappear from your own life. And that's where I found myself, depleted, but still performing, present, but not whole. One morning, I realized something had to change. Not because I had reached the breaking point, but because I had reached a moment of clarity. I remember sitting in silence thinking, this can't be the life that God intended for me. Not this constant urgency, not this emotional depleting, not this endless cycle of giving without replenishment. And I remember one day too, we were working on planning a vacation, and I had everything lined out. I told my son, okay, you need to take this date and this date. I wrote things down. You need this date, and this date. And I don't think I wrote the dates down wrong. And he comes back, and he had already taken the times off that he needed to take off. And we were talking about it, and I told him, no, it's supposed to be that date. He said, no, I asked you if this was the right date, Mom, and you said yes. And I don't even remember saying yes. I just did it out of habit of just answering, trying to get everything done as quickly as possible. And at that point, I felt like, I don't want to live like this anymore. I don't want to be somebody who's not really present in the life that I'm living, not present with my children, not present with my husband, actually not present in my job, because yes, I'm completing stuff. Yes, I'm getting stuff done. Yes, I'm doing a good job, but sometimes things fall through the cracks because I wasn't able to focus completely and totally on everything that I needed to focus on, and things kept falling through the cracks. And at that point, I thought, I don't need this anymore. So as I was spending time with God and going through this, I found Proverbs 31. I love Proverbs 31. It's like my favorite piece because it really does give that piece of what women should be like and who women should strive to be. So there's a line in Proverbs 31 that says, she watches over the affairs of her household and does not eat the bread of idleness. For years, I interpreted that as the call to constant productivity. I needed to be everything to everyone. But now I understand it a little bit differently. It's not about the busyness. It's about stewardship. It's about tending to your inner world with the same care that you give to everything else. You know, we're given this stuff. We are stewards. We don't own anything. Our pastor always talks about that. We don't own stuff. It's God's, and we're stewarding his stuff. And putting it in that perspective too also helped at that. So at that moment when I read that piece in Proverbs 31 and I had that realization that I had been stewarding everything but myself, and I hadn't been giving myself the care and attention that I really needed to give myself. So I began to rebuild. Not dramatically, not all at once, but gently. Because it's hard when you're in that mode and everybody's expecting all that stuff from you. It's hard to slow down and to think, no, I need to be more intentional and I need to stop and rebuild. I need to steward not just the stuff on the outside, but the stuff on the inside as well. So I started with one elegant habit at a time, one moment of beauty in the day that felt heavy, one intentional choice in a world that felt full of noise. And really where I started with this was I started with my morning and my evening routines. I decided, you know what, I'm going to slow it down because I just rushed through. I'm washing my face as fast as I can, rushing through everything, trying to get it all done. And I thought, you know what, my mornings are going to slow down. So every morning what I do is I get up in the morning, I have my time with God, then I exercise because I need to take care of myself. And then I spend my time getting ready. I wash my face and I wash it with intention. I gently scrub. I gently go through instead of just scrubbing my face as quickly as possible. And I do this all before everybody gets up. And I know not everyone thinks you should rise early, but I'm an early riser just because I feel like I need that time to get stuff done. And so I'm building that, and then my evening routine as well. I just slow it down. I take my time. I started breathing. So Elegance became my way back to myself, not the aesthetic version of myself. I mean, yes, we want to look nice, we want to look beautiful, but it's not about the outside beauty, it's about the inside. Because in Proverbs 31 too, it does say that a woman who fears the Lord is to be praised, not a woman who looks good on the outside, because it does say beauty fades, but the fear of the Lord doesn't. And so we really need to deepen that piece of us. So it became my way back to myself. It was a deeper version. This version was rooted in clarity, order, and dignity. I learned that elegance isn't about perfection. And that's a hard one. I still struggle with perfection because I want to do everything right. I want to be perfect. But it's about alignment. It's about creating a life that feels spacious instead of suffocating. And as I made space in my home, I made space in my spirit, I found myself breathing differently. Actually breathing. Because everything was really shallow. My shoulders were all tense. So I work on relaxing my shoulders. I'll be but I'll be sitting in my car and I'll be like, okay, relax the shoulders, because I want to make sure that my shoulders are relaxed, because my shoulders were so rock hard. My massage therapist is like, holy cow, what have you been doing? And and they're not nice to me in that way as they're digging in there. But in doing that, I started breathing differently. I make sure my shoulders are relaxed. I start thinking differently. And in doing that, I've become a better leader. I've become a better mom, a better wife, because I've slowed down and started taking care of myself too, not just the outside world. Elegance has taught me to honor my limits because I am a human being. I am not perfect. I am not a machine. And that's been a hard one. It really has. And to do that, I'm protecting my energy, to choose peace over performance. So if you're in the season of burnout, I want you to know this: you can rebuild. You can choose beauty again. You can choose yourself again. And you can do it gently, one elegant habit at a time. Just take that first step. Just pick something about your day, whether it's sitting down and just reading a little bit, or sitting with a cup of coffee in the morning. I do urge everyone to do their quiet time or anchoring time in the mornings, because that gets you grounded and ready for everything. So again, thank you for spending time with me. I hope this video gives you permission to rest, to restore, and to live in intention. This journey isn't about becoming someone new. It's about returning to the woman that you are always meant to be. Again, thank you for joining me. Join me in my next video as we do the day I decided to live differently, how I chose, and I'll go more deeply into this. I want to keep these short, because if you're driving, or if you're watching while you're doing laundry, folding laundry, or listening, that's part of the reason why I'm doing it. Just a video of me talking instead of doing it as a video with all kinds of little pictures and stuff like that, because I want you to just be able to be yourself, and I want to be myself, my authentic self, as we go through this, but the self that God has created me to be. And that's really where I found a lot of my elegance, is in working on becoming the woman that God has called me to be, not the woman that I see on Pinterest, and not the woman I see in other places, but the woman that God has called me to be. So if you're enjoying the videos, of course we'll get deeper in as we continue. I just wanted to do a few videos at the beginning to introduce myself. But like, subscribe, and comment, and I will see you guys in my next one. Thank you.